evening and thank you for joining us for KREM News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. We begin tonight with some breaking news. Gonzaga University sent an alert to all students within the last hour, warning of a shooting about 3.5 miles from campus. Not much is known at this hour, but we do know at least one person was reportedly shot on East North Crescent Drive near the Edgewater Apartments. According to police, the victim was able to drive himself to the Safeway on Mission to call for help. Gonzaga was warning students and anyone near campus to avoid the area. And within the last 20 minutes, they announced on Twitter that police are now clear of the area and there is no longer a threat to campus. This is the developing story. We will continue to bring you updates just as soon as we learn them. Well, another round of thunderstorms could move through the area tonight. In fact, we are seeing some lightning strikes out there in downtown Spokane. Let's get straight to Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo for the latest on this latest round of thunderstorms. Jeremy?
Well, Mark, it's one of those ones where if you just look your way out to the west, you're going to be keeping an eye on a pretty big storm, one that's packing a ton of energy. And I'm stalling for all I'm worth, hoping we can see one of those lightning strikes and nothing. All right. Let's take a look at that storm because it has been putting on quite the show here for the past few minutes. And there it is. It's a strong storm moving out of Kootenai County into Spokane County. This is exactly what we were talking about a bit earlier. That storm cell itself kind of weakening. And the reason those storms aren't as kind of potent and singular today is it kind of turned into this big conglomerate a bit earlier. That being said, when that happens, what those little storms do is they do a great job of taking the energy from around them. But if you have a bunch of them, they're all sharing the same energy, so the storms themselves don't get quite as strong. Some heavy rain moving through North Spokane. Coeur d'Alene seeing the backside of this, but you're still going to see a little more. Tico going to see it for a little while longer. It eventually works its way out overnight, and tomorrow we wind up much drier, much sunnier as temperatures climb back into the 80s and stay there through Thursday before a big shift in the weather pattern arrives later this week.
All right, we'll check back into later in the broadcast. Thank you very much, Jeremy. New tonight, Washington Governor Jay Inslee calling lawmakers back to Olympia to work on the state's drug possession law. In 2021, the state Supreme Court ruled that felony charges for possession were unconstitutional. Legislators came up with a temporary fix, making possession a misdemeanor, but that will expire over the summer. Spokane Mayor Nadine Woodward believes tougher laws will compel people to get treatment.
I supported the Senate version, which was a gross misdemeanor with criminalization if no treatment is accessed. And so that gives more accountability. It gives it a tool for officers and an expectation within our cities that are reeling from this drug epidemic, actually a drug crisis, on how we deal with it and compel people to get help. There has to be some tougher boundaries to compel people to get treatment.
Legislators will return to Olympia on May 16th. Also new tonight, we are now just 2 weeks away from an election in Kootenai County that will determine the fate of the Coeur d'Alene School District. The district is asking voters to pass a $25 million levy. The city council urged people to cast their votes at tonight's meeting.
One of the reasons that we moved here 30 years ago instead of Sandpoint was because at the time they had levies that failed. And that cost Sandpoint. I do think that it's very important that we all do get out and vote, and it's most important that you make an informed vote.
The district is in a financial emergency right now. The superintendent there says if the levy fails, they'll have to make significant staffing cuts and 2 elementary schools could close. Well, a day after Governor Inslee announced he will not seek a 4th term as governor, Washington Attorney General Bob Ferguson has announced an exploratory committee to possibly run for governor. Drew Mickelson, with our sister station in Seattle, asked a political analyst about Ferguson's chances for getting the nomination.
Is this Bob Ferguson's race to lose, in your opinion?
It's really too early to tell. You're going to have a lot of Democrats throwing their hat into the ring.
Political analysts say we could also hear the name of Public Lands Commissioner Hillary Franz. Governor Inslee says he has made no decision yet on who he might endorse. We are continuing to learn more about that deadly hit and run that killed 2 people over the weekend. According to court documents, this is not the first time the suspected driver, Megan Skillingstad, has been involved in a case like this. Tonda Miller, the mother of one of the victims, spoke exclusively with KREM 2 today. She says she wonders why the driver was ever allowed back on the road.
She took a life already, and then 2 more snapped out in one time. Like, I'm not going to let this go. I'm not.
Her son's name was Desmond. He and his girlfriend, Katie McFerrin, were walking to the casino when they were hit and killed. Skillingstad is facing 2 counts of vehicular homicide and 2 counts of hit and run. And now to our night beat with a quick look at the day's top stories. The Pullman Police Department has completed its investigation into a shooting that happened back in September of 2021 near a large party on College Hill. That shooting killed one person and seriously injured a WSU football player. Commander Aaron Brashear says detectives only just recently completed the investigation because he said it's a very complex case with what he called a multitude of evidence and witness interviews. George Harris III allegedly shot and killed his roommate, Lieben Barr. That shooting also seriously injured former WSU football player Brandon Gray. Harris turned himself into police and claimed he fired in self-defense. And now we expect to learn what charges will be filed once they finish reviewing the case. We are also learning about an attack on a corrections officer inside the Chelan County Justice Center in Wenatchee. According to jail officials, 2 inmates attacked the officer, knocking them to the floor and repeatedly hitting them with makeshift weapons. The officer suffered stab wounds to the head and neck and the arms and was taken to the hospital. The inmates have been charged with attempted aggravated murder, prison riot, and weapons possession by a prisoner. The Spokane County Air Rescue Crews found a hiker that was missing for more than 24 hours. Air One Crews tweeted out these photos this afternoon. The man was last seen leaving his home to go on a hike in Liberty Lake yesterday morning. He was found in a remote area across the Idaho border. He is believed to be in good health, but was undergoing a medical evaluation as of earlier today. Meantime, police still searching for the suspect accused of shooting at people driving on the South Hill yesterday. One man was shot and taken to the hospital, but is expected to recover. A second car was shot at moments later. That driver was not hurt. KREM 2 has reached out to Spokane police for more details this afternoon, but they did not have an update on a suspect description. They continue to say the shootings appear to be random and not connected. And that was your night beat. To learn more about any of these stories, just text us the word night to 509-448-2000 and we'll send them right to your phone. Turning now to some national news, an investigation underway into a crash that killed a bride just hours after her wedding and left her groom seriously hurt. Samantha Miller and Eric Hitchinson were leaving their reception in a golf cart when they were hit by an alleged drunk driver. The driver was going nearly 3 times the speed limit and the golf cart was thrown more than 100 yards. The driver's been charged with 3 counts of DUI and 1 count of reckless homicide. And new tonight, a 4-day-long manhunt has come to an end with authorities in Texas arresting the accused gunman who shot and killed 5 of his neighbors. Officers say 38-year-old Francisco Oropesa shot and killed them after they asked him to stop firing off rounds in his yard. Officials say Oropesa has been arrested without incident, and it was a tip to the FBI that led to his capture. And today, the community gathered at the Spokane Public Safety Building to remember officers who died in the line of duty in 2022. Spokane Police Chief Craig Meidel says the memorial serves as a reminder to the families that they're not alone.
We had many of the family members here as well, and it's an opportunity for us not only to remember their sacrifices, but to also honor the families and let the families know your loved one's not forgotten. You still have a family, and we're still here for you. Anything you need, anytime you need us.
In addition to fallen law enforcement officers, the community also honored all canine officers who died in the line of duty. And today, members of the Spokane City Council, the Parks Board, and Spokane Police met to talk about changing the city code to make it a misdemeanor to be in a park after hours. Spokane Parks and SPD are making the request, citing increased crime in the city's parks. In about 2 years, there were 692 incidents in 32 different parks, all while the parks were technically closed. City leaders say making this change would ultimately be an investment into the community.